Well, thank you so much to BizFed for inviting me here today, and thanks for all of you for coming out and taking part of your day to hear about these issues and really think about them. I'm going to abbreviate the presentation this afternoon, really to just talk about what we're doing in the Chief Sustainability Office and how it relates to resiliency. You know, in lots of places, there's a Chief Resilience Officer and a Chief Sustainability Officer. We in the county have sort of combined that, although our Office of Emergency Management, of course, handles the hard parts of the resiliency job. What we do in the Chief Sustainability Office is to craft the framework, the policy guidance for how we make our communities more sustainable, more resilient. And I'll say that the sustainability plan that is out, and I encourage you to go look at it. It lives online at ourcountyla.org, and it really exists best there because it's organized as an online tool. Covers these issues, and you can see the sort of the range of issues that are addressed in the plan. And I'll also say that we worked very hard with the City of Los Angeles to align the city's and the county's plans as much as possible. And our plan is a regional plan. It covers the entire county. The County of Los Angeles is about a little over 10 million people. And there's 1 million people within the county that are in areas that are not a city. So, of course, the City of Los Angeles is about 4 million people, so 40% of the population of the county. And then there's 6 million people spread through the other 87 cities and the unincorporated areas. This is really meant to be a plan for the entire region. It won't take too long to talk about how we developed it, other than to say that this was an extensive outreach and engagement effort. What you saw up until this point is as much work as we did before we went out and started talking to people. So we never wrote a word of the plan. All we did was sort of create a contextual framework for the plan, and then went out and just asked people, if you had, based on your expertise, whether it's in your business or in your community or at your nonprofit or within your academic circles, what would you want to see in a sustainability plan? And so that generated some 6,000 ideas, which was certainly well more than I could present to the Board of Supervisors and keep my job. So that took a winnowing process, and through that, the plan ultimately, which was adopted by the board, has 12 high-level strategies or goals, 37 strategies that sort of help implement those, and then 159 specific actions. Just some pictures of the kinds of engagement we did, and then ultimately, as I said, adopted by the Board of Supervisors, and we're very proud of that. So we took some media, but the real thing is, what does the plan contain? So I talked about the goals, the strategies, and the actions. This is kind of the fundamental layout of the plan. A goal is a very broad statement. It's a statement that sort of identifies a future state that we're looking to achieve. The strategies are kind of part of an approach to that, and there's multiple strategies per goal. But then at the action level is where we really get down to, and there's a typo there, there are community emergency response teams, but we get down to the level of what is it that we're going to do as a county and who's going to do it. We actually, in the plan, identify lead departments for every single action, and department heads are held responsible for the implementation of the plan through their annual performance reviews with the board. So here's an example of here's the first 6 of the 12 high-level goals. Again, you can see kind of broad, positive statements about what we want our future state of our county to be, and then the second set. I'll say the last 2 are really about how we organize and govern and structure the work that we're doing. So those are less programmatic and more internally facing. So just a couple of examples about resiliency and why resiliency is important. When you think about what is sustainability, and you probably haven't ever thought about what is sustainability, quite honestly. But you think about this idea that we can maintain our way of life without impacting future generations to enjoy a similar way of life. And part of that is having communities that are safe and resilient. And so here are a couple of the strategies and actions that flow down from that particular goal. The ability to respond to emergencies. We look at retailers. And in an emergency, you heard the example of Anheuser-Busch, not a small business by any means, but looking to the business community to help support the community in the time of need. And small businesses can also be a place where we can help sustain neighborhoods during and after a disaster. We also have specific numeric targets. We want to make sure that we are essentially measuring ourselves. So we've set out numeric goals for ourselves. This one goes to the community emergency response teams, and the number of people we think should be trained. And then we have a number of actions. And I put them all up here. I don't expect you to see them or read them in detail. But these are really the way we get to, within the plan, identifying what we're going to do and ultimately who's going to do it. So when the board adopted the plan, it said two things to us. One, now create a set of priorities from the 159 actions. We can't do all 159 things at once. We all know that. So we are going through a process now internally to develop the initial set of priorities, the things that we think we should be working on over the next year or 2 years. And we'll be putting that out publicly and holding workshops to get stakeholder feedback, because we essentially had the community tell us what the plan should contain. Now we want the community to tell us what they think is important within the plan that we get started on right away. So we invite you to participate in that process. And then the board also told us to annually report on how we're doing. Are we making progress? And if not, why not? And how can we improve things? So there will be 2 reports back to the board every single year, and this will be an iterative process. And again, the first one, the priorities report, will be coming out in the first part of November. So that's really what I wanted to say, is that leave you with the sort of key message that the county is approaching these things from a strategic standpoint. We have a plan to do that, which is the Our County plan. Business resilience is critical part of that plan. And we know that it's not just earthquakes, but it's climate change and a whole host of other risks that are upon us and are going to continue to exacerbate, and we need to have a way to address them. And then the plan itself lays out those details. So again, thank you very much for inviting me today. Appreciate having been here, and thanks for all of you for your attention.